Hey everybody, Nate here from WASD20. Today we are going to make a faction for a Dungeons & Dragons game. And to get more specific here, we're going to be making a monastic order. The reason I'm doing this is because I am going to be playing a monk, a halfling monk by the name of Denara, in the Provokers game, which begins next week. This week. I figured it out, guys. It is next week Sunday. There we go. That will be Sunday the 25th of September 2016 is the premiere, premiere is what you would call it, the first session of our Season 2 of the Provokers Bleakwrath, a new campaign, and I'm pretty excited about it. Pretty excited to meet this character and learn more about him. I've got a little bit fleshed out, but a really important part of who he is as a monk would be his monastic order. So I really do need to work on that here and get that fleshed out a little bit. I should say also that I am a player in this campaign, and my DM, Matt Click, has not approved of any of what I'm going to be doing, so, just tread lightly when you're creating a faction that you're a part of to make sure that it fits in the world. And so obviously I'm going to run all of this by Matt, and maybe he'll find that, well, you got this history a little wrong or this, and we can tweak that and work together to make one that works really well. But if you are a dungeon master, if you're a game master, you will want to be creating factions for your world. It's an important part of world building, and it's just an important part of making your game world feel like a real living and breathing place. Not a place that's just full of NPCs and quest givers, but a place where things are happening all around all the time without the knowledge of the players, and the characters are just in one small part here where there's other things going on in other parts of the world. I think that's really important. There are bigger organizations that they may be aware of, small factions vying for control, and all that good stuff. Okay, anyway, let's get to it. I'm going to be using today the Be a Better Faction Master supplement that Barker wrote from Absolute Tabletop. And this is a pretty cool supplement. You can get it yourself at absolutetabletop.com or on DriveThruRPG. Adding believable organizations to your RPG. So I'm excited to dig into this, and I wasn't really sure how much it would apply for a monastic order. But I glanced at it briefly and I thought, yeah, I think this can work. I think this can give me some good inspiration and some good ideas about things I might want to include in the background for this monastic order that Sander is a part of. So let's scroll down here and get into the supplement. You've got this wonderful letter from Barker. And let's keep going here. So there are 5 steps that we're going to be going through. I'm not going to be reading through all this because that would just make this a really long video. But I have read through it at various times in the past. And yeah, so we'll want to think of motivation. We'll want to think of a leader. We'll want to think of background. We can think of a sigil and a cool name. So let's work on those things a little bit here. Matt has a great tip here about the rule of 3, a technique of narrative description. Which I really like. Focus on 3 things. Don't overwhelm your players with information. Okay, so I'm looking at the faction generator here. Now we could just roll a d20. If we need a faction, we could roll a d20 and come up with something here. But I don't think we're going to do that. I'm just going to look at these and see if any jump out at me. I have some ideas about this monastic order already, but I'm going to be trying to take some new inspiration as well. So here's what I think I know of them. Sander is from the Sonnegiest desert, which, oh, hey, what do you know? There's a map right there. That's amazing. So yeah, you can see over there, Sonnegiest is a region that used to be really the heart of the power of the Khazran Empire. And it has since fallen a couple thousand years ago from when we're playing in the Great Scorching. It was just burned and ravaged in the war, mostly by dragons, I believe. So this is a desert area. There are some people dwelling in this area, Matt has told me, and I think it would be cool to be from this area, be kind of a desert dweller of sorts. So what I know of this order, I got inspired by the Aiel from the Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan. And they're not going to be exactly like the Aiel or anything, but I like the look of the Aiel. They're these veiled warriors who are just kind of fierce and really into the idea of battle. They always wear a veil when they go into battle. And they're kind of a little mysterious and very different culture from many of the surrounding peoples. So I like that idea. I like the look of them a lot, that's for sure, and I thought that would be a cool look for a desert-dwelling monk. So I think I'm going to go with that. The other things I know, just talking with Matt and with the other guys in our Session 0, is that I think his monastic order is tasked with protecting ancient relics, or I guess protecting the ruins of the Khazran Empire from raiders who would plunder and try to profit, and also possibly from those who would try to uncover items of power and could use that power for evil means, I guess we would say. So that's the idea I have from talking with Matt and the other guys in our Session 0. But we're going to see if we can come up with some more inspiration here, and especially we need to come up with a name, maybe a sigil, a symbol of some kind. So reclaiming religious relics is actually an interesting one that's sort of like what they're doing, but I think I already have that in some ways. They're, let's see. So this is the motivation. Okay. I'm going to say their motivation is protect. Okay, maybe survive first of all. It's a very barren place, a harsh environment, the Sonnegiest, the desert that is Sonnegiest. So survive. Other motivations might be, I don't know, I view them as wanting to be find an inner peace like many monks do. Survive, find inner peace through meditation and other, focusing their ki, I think is how you say it, Ki, and channel that. And then I think also guarding ruins and relics of Sonnegiest against raiders and evildoers, we'll say. So there are kind of the just pesky menaces that might seek to profit from it. Those are really minor, but they still do want to preserve some of the these ruins and keep the things that are buried there buried, or even uncover them and possibly bring them to the archives in, I think it is Falhast. Matt mentioned that as a possibility, and I thought that sounded cool. And also, then there's the more serious threat of those who might try to uncover these items of power that are buried by the desert and try to keep these things from falling into the wrong hands, essentially. So that's a pretty serious charge for Sanders' order. Okay? So, and a little background on Sander, he is a level 1 monk, so he's, he hasn't even learned to really focus ki yet. He is still an initiate of sorts, very, very fresh, we'll say. But he was raised in the order and is just beginning the more formal training, just getting to that age. All right, let's keep going here. Let me just look at the overall. Okay, so yeah, there's this D20 chart, and then there's a whole lot of name generators here, as well as some other great advice from the other guys at Tabletop Terrors, which we'll get into. There is this cool thing right here, which I will probably print out and use eventually. For now, I'm just going to be taking notes on this document as I'm working it out, and then eventually I look forward to putting it on this sheet right here, which is really cool. All right, so let's go back up here. We are going to be talking about the background now. Let's see if anything jumps out at me here. Evolved from a small group of daring adventurers, originally formed a prison. Formed by a group of intellectuals driven underground. That's interesting. That could work. Formed by descendants of a usurped monarch. Organized by rogue clerics. Formed from the remnants of an illegal fighters guild. Founded by exiled slavers. Organized by excommunicated holy men. Formerly a guild of witch hunters, Initially formed by monks in hermitage. So that one, that one fits a little too well. But here's the other, achieving peace through solitude. I kind of like that, finding inner peace, and maybe we'll put through solitude. That's why they're one of the reasons they're in the desert. And then I imagine the guarding of ruins and relics might be a newer charge for them. That originally perhaps they were just dwelling here because it was their place of solitude, and they, maybe found some a sense of accomplishment in the survival, that it was good for their souls, this hardship of the harshness of the desert. But now they are noticing a threat to their way of life, perhaps, and perhaps are feeling a greater responsibility to the exterior, not just their own inner peace and solitude. I really like that idea. So, yeah, perhaps their focus is shifting from this to this. I kind of like that idea. All right, let's keep going here. Formed from the remnants of a decimated army legion. Founded by radically progressive alchemists, formed by a council of elven druids, traces its origin back to disgruntled veterans of a catastrophic war. So here's kind of what I'm thinking. This is the obvious no-brainer here, initially formed by monks in hermitage. But what I'm thinking is perhaps that these are monks of Khazren, various monks of Khazren, who after the Great Scorching remained in the desert and survived in this harsh land. And they used to be of various different orders, but all the monks who felt some strange call to stay in this place are still in this place and have now formed a new order that has lasted for a very long time. A small group that has miraculously hung on, clinging to the ruins of the desert. So I really like that idea. So here we go. We're going to say background. I'll say formerly, let me make that bold here. Formerly, many different monastic orders of Khazren after the Great Scorching. Some stayed, some remained, we'll say, and formed a new order. And I think that'll be good enough for now for background. All right, let's keep going here. We will talk a little about leader. All right, let's see here. I'm gonna a bald-headed dwarven man who meditates 12 hours a day. I like that. I tend to think that these people have been pretty isolated. They do take on new members. In fact, Sander is a fairly new addition in terms of the order. His parents were not monks. He was found in the desert after a group of halflings were raided and most of them killed. Sander was a child, a very young child at the time, does not remember his parents, and was scooped up by these monks who found him still alive. So, and I should mention at this point that I mentioned the other guys have some good advice here, and I should just refer to one thing they have here a second, and that is, so this is a tip from Tabletop Terrors. Using a name generator is a bad idea. It's too easy for a faction name to sound cheesy and generic. So they mentioned some of the downsides of using these generators, and I think the same, would go for the roll table that I'm using. And the importance of tweaking it and making your own. So that's what I'm doing. I'm pretty much not taking anything exactly as it is. And so as I was looking at leaders here, I'm not seeing anything that's jumping out at me, because I had this weird idea. It's not weird at all. What am I saying? I had this idea that the leader of the monastic order right now would be a woman. And I'm not really seeing too many women here. There are some, but I like the idea that this is an elf, an elven woman. And let's see here. What else? Any other characteristics I can see that I like? Okay, so I kind of like the idea that she is actually like grizzled and scarred in some way. And so she might have a bit of a frightening appearance even. But yeah, let's start typing stuff up here. Leader. So an elven woman, grizzled and scarred. But being a member of the order, her maybe frightening appearance would not be, she would have a beautiful soul, so to speak, right? She would certainly not be a scarred soul or a scarred personality. It's merely her body. And yeah, so I kind of like that. I will probably have to come up with a name for her at some point, but we'll skip that for now, and we'll just leave it pretty simple. An elven woman, grizzled and scarred. Actually, you know what? You could make your own suggestion for what this leader's name should be down below in the comments, and maybe I'll pick one. And as a game master, I like to do this, and as a player, I'll certainly do this, and maybe if it ever comes up, Matt can figure it out. I don't know. I don't know why she's scarred. And as a game master, you don't have to know that right now either. If you are building this for your game, leave some elements of mystery for yourself, some things to discover, or some things to let your players decide here and there. I think that can be, it makes it fun for me as a game master to do that. So let's keep going here. So motivation, background, leader, and now we have sigil. So again, I'm probably not going to find anything perfect here, but let's see if we can find something, some inspiration. Symbols of different deities, a tipped chalice, a dragon's jaw, a black dagger, a monocle dangling from a bubbling vial, 2 gold coins, a silver lion, a battered shield, iron manacles, a cornucopia, a broken wand, a lonely mountain, a sword buried to the hilt in the earth, a crimson heart in front of a geometric sun. I kind of like the idea of a sun there of the desert, a gnarled tree, a double-bladed spear. A gnarled tree would be cool too. Burning banner. I think I'm going to do something. Okay, so a couple things jumped out. I like a lonely mountain with a sunrise. I'll go with that for now. With a sun above it, we'll say. Not a sunrise necessarily, but a mountain with a sun. So something like that is what we'll go for now. And I might change that if I can come up with something better. And maybe as I develop the faction a little bit more, I'll find something else that does definitely fit better. So yeah. So I've got some other ideas for the faction. Let me see if I can. Oh, we have to come up with a name. Let's do that. That's gonna be hard for me because I am just so indecisive with stuff like this. But we're gonna try it. Okay, and there are tons. This is awesome. There are just absolutely tons of names here, and I love that. Oh, I like Sons of the. Let's keep looking here. So yeah, I'm just kind of glancing through this. I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna jot down a bunch of things that just jump out at me, and maybe we can combine them. Not all of them, because I'm gonna type a bunch. So Sons of, okay, or maybe we can say Children of. I know in the Wheel of Time there's the Children of the Light. Don't want to go there. Ugh. Alright, so I went through the names here, and I came up with just a huge list, and, well, not huge, but a pretty big list here, and just some things that jumped out at me. And I tweaked some things, taking the advice again from Tim and James that, you know, it's a good idea to maybe take some synonyms, find some different things. So yeah, where you see burning, maybe take scorching, or scorched instead, which kind of fits with something I like, is that, you know, the order started after the Great Scorching. And so I'm thinking of including that in some way. Not burning, but scorching, or something like that. So I've jotted some ideas down here. Children of the Wind, Order of... well, I think I want to include order in the name, to specify that this is a monastic order. It seems to make sense to me. And... so Order of the Drifting Seed, I kind of got stuck on this idea of seed for a while, that there's this, you know, small item that provides some hope, right? That there could be growth from this. So that's something I've been thinking about. But also this idea of burning or scorching. So what I think I might do, I like the idea that, you know, the desert was burnt, right? The Great Scorching has ravaged the land. And caused it to be a desert, what previously was not. Now, there's this small group of monks that have remained for centuries. They've remained. And I like the idea of them being maybe unscorched. And so I think what I'm going to do here, I was really stuck on this idea of scorched seed for a while, that this little seed remains and provides some hope again. But what I think I'm going to do is go with the Order of the Unscorched. All right, the idea that these people have held on, that though the Great Scorching has occurred, they have remained, they have survived in this barren land. And I deleted the spot for sigil here because I realized I think, you know, the sigil should have something to do with the names. So maybe in your process of coming up with your orders, you want to wait to come up with the sigil until after you have a name. That seems to make sense to me. So I'm going to do that here, and I'm going to rework this, and we'll make the, what could I make it? I think it's going to be maybe a leaf surrounded in flame. That's what I'm leaning towards. So a leaf surrounded in flame. Oops. Thank goodness for spell check. All right. So, again, you can absolutely take some of these great ideas and this great inspiration that books like this, Be a Better Faction Master, provide for you. But don't be afraid to tweak them. It's something I always do with name generators too, is I can't help but take a name generator and then just tweak it a little bit and make it my own. So really great inspiration in this book though, and you could absolutely use some of these just as they are. Some of them would sound really, really good. All right, so if we're going down here to the bottom, past the names, what does this say? How about a faction of exiled half-bloods, all of whom have been ostracized from society and forced to band together to survive? That's pretty awesome. I just am noticing these little tips at the bottom of each page, and I hadn't noticed these before. How do people learn about your world's factions? What if they find a book on the subject? Really cool. I'm going to have to look through these a little later. Don't fear the cliche. The secret sails, the azure aeronauts, or other alliterations are perfect for memorable faction names. And yeah, I had definitely considered the scorched seed and thought, does that sound a little too sing-songy? But no, I do think it sounds good. I still am liking the Order of the Unscorched a little better. And again, the reason for Unscorched, I just really like that reference to the Great Scorching right there in their name. All right, so let's skip over the names here. I'm going to have to look over those little questions at the bottom later. Those are cool. Oh, there is more here on faction leaders. You got some actual names and a little more description, detailed description. So you could absolutely take these and plug them into your game as faction leaders or NPCs. That's really cool. Oh, here's more of them. Some cool art. And then this I mentioned I'm going to be filling out later. And bonus tips. Another tip from Tabletop Terrors. Oh, okay, so this is all about putting factions in conflict with each other and finding out, what are the relationships between various factions, basically. So that's kind of cool. More bonus tips, things that maybe could have gone at the bottom of the page but didn't fit. Yeah, so lots of great tips here, and lots of just things to get you thinking. You could easily take one of these tips at the bottom of the page or these right here and just take it and run with it and build something pretty cool just from that one sentence or question, I think. So, yeah, really great job on this supplement, Absolute Tabletop and Barker, and definitely highly recommend it to people. And I think we've got our order now. All right, so there we have it, guys, the Order of the Unscorched, and we've got a little bit of the basic information. I can't wait to keep on building this and run this by Matt and see what he thinks. And yeah, if you want to see more of the Order of the Unscorched and Sander in action, make sure you tune into the Provokers Bleakwrath, our new campaign, which is starting this coming Sunday. It is going to be running Sunday the 26th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So make sure you tune in on the channel A Fistful of Dice. I'll put the link to the event down in the description below, so definitely make sure you check that out. If you enjoyed this one, make sure you give it a thumbs up, make sure you're subscribed, and don't forget to leave a comment. I would love to hear from you. Do you own this book? What do you think of it? And what factions have you made for your world? I would love to hear about some of the coolest factions that you're most proud of, because I think it's all about inspiring each other and getting ideas from one another. So, yeah, post some of your factions down in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. All right, everybody, take care. You'll see me again very soon.